Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. Today, we begin the 27th chapter of the Potsmoker's Bible and the 24th chapter of the book of Zion. This is part 1 of the general reading, and it's called In the Last Days. So here we have the last chapter in the prophecy, what the end result of all our actions will be. And here we have the true reason for the entire book. We are heading for a disaster that we can't avert. This disaster is global. It's a planet killer. Without preparation, there can be no survival. This is our fated end. The last time we suffered from an event like the one coming was the fabled flood. There is enough evidence to suggest that it was not a myth, but an actual event. The North American ice sheet melted, and apparently it slipped into the sea. But this slippage, the entire sheet, slammed into the ocean bed, rocking the earth and sending a tsunami so huge around the entire circumference of the earth that it destroyed everything and everyone save Noah and his flood, and his ark. Few survived the inundation. And we too must build an ark. But we aren't facing waters. Our destruction is said to be a fire that will engulf the earth. There is evidence to substantiate this claim. If you look into our geological past, you see that the earth has burned before. So our ark will be encased in mountains. Unlike the pre-flood humanity that was so corrupt that our fathers sought to destroy them, we are seen as being just good enough to be deemed worthy of survival. So we will build not one lone ark to recreate humanity, but an ark in every mountain tall enough to be exitable after the ash settles. We modern humans have been found worthy to survive, unlike our pre-flood ancestors. The great project that a third of humanity will heed their warnings and build inner mountain arks. These arks will sustain us for however long the earth takes to rebound from what is coming. And what is coming is going to be so horrific that only those within the shelters can survive, and only a third of humanity will heed the warnings. You see, there is going to be an impact. The Earth will be hit by an asteroid, which will ignite the methane building up in our atmosphere, a fireball Earth. According to ancient Sumerian texts, the culprit is a planet called Nibiru. This mythical planet has an elongated orbit that hides it from our view until it is too late for us to do anything about it. Whether this myth is fact doesn't really matter, because we already have a very real asteroid on its way. I have heard talk of an impact coming in about 10 years, but even that may be a conspiracy. And yet there are so many near-Earth asteroids that could have our number on it, so to speak. So we face a very real threat, whether it's Nibiru or just an asteroid. One of many. We aren't just looking at a possible Earth impact. There are real dangers right here on Earth that could and will take part in our destruction. Hazards that an intermountain home can help solve. And most, but not all, are geological. We face climate change, DNA damage, rising sea levels, tsunamis, supervolcanoes like Yellowstone. All of these dangers are real. Our inner mountain home will address all of these dangers. Our bodies are fragile but resilient. We are very sensitive to temperature change. We die at set temperatures. If we get too cold, we die. If we get too hot, we die. And people, we're getting hotter. The last known um, isolator, insulator on Earth is the Earth. Our inner mountain home will keep us cool. And we are going to have to stay cool. Any temperature above 86 is deadly over the long term, just as exposure to 35 degrees will also kill you. We only have 51 degrees to live in. The body can't cool itself under 82 degrees, so it's 86 during the daytime or hotter. It has to get down to at least 82. The average high in my hometown is now 88 in the danger zone. For now, the low is well under 82 at 66, but temperatures are rising. We are already in the too hot zone and must keep cool. Temperature will keep rising. We also face a disaster of our own making, which isn't so easy to solve as the temperature change. We have damaged our DNA. I look at the children of this world and I suffer for them. Our race is dying because we poisoned ourselves. Our DNA is breaking down in America. 1 in 33 babies has life-threatening, debilitating birth defects. This is purging of man's own This is purely of man's own making. Our our unfettered use of chemicals has damaged our bodies to the point that we can no longer provide safe genetic material to reproduce our species. We are dying. We are literally killing ourselves to line the pockets of the corporations. Their love of chemicals and money is our dire downfall. We must therefore create a safe place to live and the proper nutrition, free of all contaminants, to ensure the healthy genetic code. Our job must be to find an environment that isn't so polluted that it degrades our DNA further. 1 in 33 children are born with life-threatening defects. We must reverse this trend. Our Intermountain homes will provide us with access to pollution-free air, water, and soil. We can create a safe, genetically sustaining environment. We have time to correct this genetic trend. With a vital life-sustaining environment, the children being born today can safely give birth to healthy children tomorrow. But unless we create them a safe place to grow up, they too will give birth to more and more children whose DNA has been damaged to the point that it can no longer viably sustain itself. The waters are rising. Our livable land space is about to get a whole lot smaller, and people are going to be moving in. Most of our population, the 2/3 that live on the coasts, are getting inundated already. Every year, more and more coastal storms erode more beach. Soon the beaches will be gone, and the streets will flood. The water will just come in with a storm and never leave. And that is an aquifer, folks. And that is going to be our city's undoing. The cities are literally going to go under. Sun Tzu's Art of War tells us to always take the high ground. So to the mountains go, the victors. When our governments begin to sink under global climate crises, war is inevitable. A mountain stronghold is our best defense. Sun Tzu is a world authority on war. I'm taking his ancient advice and taking the high ground and digging in. And then there's Yellowstone. and other super calderas. Yellowstone, or any of the 19 supervolcanoes, will one day end the lives of those unprepared. In America, Yellowstone poses a massive problem. Most of this country will be covered in ash 20 feet deep or more. To escape the eruption, we will have no choice but to go into the mountains. Most of the unaffected parts of this country will likely be underwater by then. So, our population will one day need an inner mountain shelter to escape volcanic ash. There is one more possible world changing event that may require shelter, and that is perhaps this the only threat that I find frightening, that is unnoticed by most and that unlikely by science, or perhaps I just haven't found evidence of it, and that is an aquifer collapse. I may be just an uneducated nobody, but I find it much more likely that the Grand Canyon was an aquifer that collapsed than a melted glacier. It looks like an undersea terrain to me, not a riverbed. I believe that the aquifer under my feet, the Ogallala Aquifer, will one day collapse. We have drained it, and we now pile on more and more weight. More people, more buildings, more cars. How long can it hold up while the gas companies in Texas and Oklahoma hammer away at its edges? As soon as I can afford to move to Colorado, I'm gone. Nebraska and Kansas are death traps. If the aquifer fails and its roof collapses, it will literally rock the planet. Because the Ogallala Aquifer is massive compared to the Grand Canyon. It stretches from South Dakota to Texas, people. Much larger than the Grand Canyon ever thought about being. The possibility of this happening isn't as remote as you might think. There was a city in the desert in Arabia, the Atlantis of the Sands, they called it. It vanished in a day. In recent years, satellites have found that city with LiDAR. It fell into its drained aquifer, a huge sinkhole that collapsed. I'm sitting on top of just such a sinkhole writing this book. But I'm too poor to move right now. So I stay in harm's way until my god Ishi keeps his promise and I am given a new home in the mountains with a very large group of very close friends and family to call countrymen. Then I will gladly move to higher, much safer ground. The reason I chose to include this theory is because I think it might have prophetic ramifications. The prophecy is written in such a way to hint at perhaps more than one event. We are seeing visions of earth changes that reconfigure North America. It shows the Great Lakes as a sea dividing the continent. The collapse would create this change as no other would. These visions come from God. I can't imagine the seismic event this would create. The sheer size of the roof of the aquifer is mind-boggling. To a theologian like me, the impact of such a collapse would likely rock the earth. It would certainly change it forever, which is exactly the point. It's what the prophecy foretells. A new heavens and a new earth. So there I'm going to stop, and we will pick up next time where we left off. So until then, may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May you always be worthy of them. May they teach you right from wrong. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. May you always be happy and high, my friends. I'll see you next time, okay? Later, because I'll never say goodbye.